Position at my choice rather than the last two times I had to stand up here and try to fight some members of the city council who tried to keep me from speaking. So I'm grateful that this is a press conference that I get to actually control what is said here. And the reason I'm here today, a few reasons. I've always told you since the day I became your chief that I would do everything in the light. And so today is another one of those light moments. Most of you probably saw the article in the Valley News this morning, and I want to thank the Valley News for accurately reporting an article. I mean, to my colleagues here in the media, I can't tell you how impressed I am with their integrity in reporting stories in this city. They clearly want the truth, and so that's the direction I'm going to go on any given subject. So we have a criminal investigation going on in the city that started under the former chief and the former investigations unit. And I'm not going to name the victims because it's an ongoing investigation, and it's a very serious one. It involves a kidnapping, an assault, and various very serious charges. And we still have suspects outstanding. And what happened in the course of the beginning of that investigation, the former chief and his investigative unit were so busy trying to save his career and his job rather than focusing on that investigation, they've completely botched it. And now my current investigation unit and my current officers are taking heat from every direction by members of the city council, who you'll notice are not here today. They're actually undermining a criminal investigation along with a member of the Board of Supervisors. I'm not going to name people by name because that's not why I'm here to tell the story. I'm here to tell a story about how the council members, in conjunction with the Police Officers Association and members of that association, have used city funds and city resources to run what I would call an extortion racket. That's what's been happening in Calexico. So how do I know that? I know that from facts now. I'm not doing this from the thousands of you, literally thousands of you in the community in the 38 days that I've been here, who stop me every single day to tell me the stories of what's been happening to you by a few members of my department. And I'm here to defend the really good cops, and I got a lot of them. They're busting their tail on a very serious criminal investigation, and council members and members of the POA and the former chief and his Board of Supervisors are undermining that investigation. And anywhere in America, that's a crime. So as of last night, I met with the FBI, and we're investigating that as a crime against those individuals. I've had it. These people are being threatened by gang members. They're being followed by gang members. They can't go from their house. Their kids can't go to school. The family's sick. And this is the kind of political crap that happens in the city, and I'm not tolerating it. I'm the chief of police of the city. I'm responsible for criminal investigations. And this city council, those that are choosing to act the way they are, and this Board of Supervisors choosing the way to act the way they are, had better learn their role really fast, because I'm not putting up with it. They have no role in the enforcement of laws in this city, and they will not as long as I'm the chief of police. And every time they interfere with one of my investigations, I am going to do everything I can to prosecute them for the things that they're up to. So in the middle of all of this, here's how this works. I'm going to tell you the story of how this one is working. So right after Taveras was relieved and I was appointed interim chief, the members of the former investigations unit at the Calexico Police Department went out and bought thousands and thousands of dollars of very expensive surveillance equipment and cameras, right? Taxpayer money. Spent thousands of dollars. Now, when I questioned the investigative unit after about being here for 3 or 4 days and said, how many cases are you investigating, criminal cases? The response was 0. So all of you that have been victims of crimes in this city, they weren't investigating them. So my next obvious question was why? Well, we're really busy handling other investigations. I also have internal investigations, and I also have narcotics investigations, right? So my next question is the next obvious one. Okay, well then, what are you handling? How many narcotics investigations do you currently have open? And he said none. Okay, so now we got 2 goose eggs, 2 zeros. So then I asked, well, who's handling the internal investigations? Well, I'm not sure. I don't know who's got them all. Okay, so I got 3 goose eggs in a row that my investigative unit who's handling all internal affairs investigations. By the way, this person is a sergeant, not the lieutenants running this unit under the former chief. He didn't know who was handling the internal investigations, didn't know their status. He was not handling any criminal investigations at all, and he had no current narcotics investigations. Does anyone here believe that? Well, don't. Well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, turning the light off doesn't work. We're in the light today. So turning it off doesn't work. We're still in the light. So I'm going to try to relax a little bit and catch my breath. If you think I'm a little upset, I'm extremely upset because of the events for the last few days. So here's how this game works. So what was your criminal investigation unit, the previous one, doing? So when this crime occurred, this kidnapping, this assault, and everything occurred to a juvenile, by the way, and their family is distraught because they have lots of other kids, and they should be distraught. The Calexico Police Department didn't do a darn thing. We can't find any reports, any investigations at all from the time before I got here, from when the crime occurred back in October until I got here in November. Nothing. All they did was provide lip service to the victim and their family. Now that upsets me to no end. I'm a cop at heart. No victim in this city is ever going to be treated like that again. That is just disgusting that happened. So now we're trying to clean up the mess, and this poor victim is really angry with me. I don't blame him for being angry. We dropped the ball as a police department, and I'm trying to clean up that mess, right? So what are they doing? They're trying to use that for political hay, our council members, to try to get the city manager and I fired, saying that we're not doing a professional job of policing, and using the actions of the former chief and his staff to blame it on my current officers who are busting their tail and me, and I'm not standing for it. That's political corruption at its best. So they're trying to call a special city council meeting. And how do I know all this? Because all of you are telling me. They're not very bright people. They're out talking, shooting off their big mouth, calling us MF gringos, which in my world is a racial slur or a cultural bias. And if one of my officers did that, I'd fire him. And one of my officers actually confronted me and said, "Chief, you're telling us you'd fire me for that. Why do some city council members get to talk that way?" Well, you know what? I don't manage them. I'm part of the executive branch. They're part of the legislative branch. It's up to the citizens of the community to decide when they've had enough of that. And honestly, now kind of a moment of stupidity, I've been called an awful lot of things, so honestly, I didn't really think that gringo was all that bad, compared to some of the things I've been called. But when I didn't realize that there's many definitions of gringos, so many members, I think it was Gilbert Otero, who was very, very gently was saying, "Oh no, that's not the definition they're using to describe you." So now I'm clear that they're actually using racial slurs and bias, and they're trying to literally use anything they can. They're trying to call a special meeting. They want to call a special meeting to fire the city manager. Oh, there's a surprise. Have you seen that one before? And by the way, they can't under the laws of Calexico, because after an election, nothing can happen in 90 days, right? Everybody knows that. They're going to try anyway. And they're now trying to interfere with my criminal investigation and use that to pull off a reason to have a city council meeting. And can I talk about a criminal investigation in a city council meeting? No, never. I have ethics, I have principles, I have values, and I live by them. I took an oath of office. So did they, but they're choosing not to follow it. This is a disgusting day for me to have to come and say it, but I've literally had it. This goes on every single day. I'm trying to run a police department, and they're doing everything they can to undermine my every move. So, two members of the council, which I mentioned on more than one occasion, help me every day. Councilmember Hurtado's here, the mayor's here. They're helping me every day try to work through all the morass of chaos that's happening in that Calexico Police Department. They're trying to help me with issues in the city. One stood up here at a city council meeting 2 weeks ago and said he'd meet with me. He didn't. And the other two refused to meet with me. How do you run a city as a city council when you won't even meet with your chief of police? Again, this is just disgusting. And this is their attitude about running this city and what they think they can do. So, am I upset? You bet I am. And why am I upset? Because I have some professional police officers and I have a community that's been victims of crimes, and they're now interfering with that investigation. And my friends at the FBI and the district attorney's office are going to help me investigate this, because I've literally had it. So then what was your investigative unit doing under the former chief with all that technology? So here's what they do with it. Here's how the scam has worked between the POA and the city council members that are pulling the stunts around the city. They were using all this high-tech equipment to go around the city, both voice recording, tracking, and taking pictures of city council members, trying to get them in compromising positions. Kind of like the mafioso in New York, exactly like the mafioso in New York. That's how they're operating. Then they're working with this victim. They're trying to talk this victim into running around talking to every state official, every local official, the FBI, the ATF, and everybody else to tell about how corrupt I am and my police officers that we aren't investigating this guy's kidnapping, okay? So the former chief, members of my department, members of the POA are behind that. They're pushing that. They're pushing this gentleman into doing those kinds of things. And he's not aware of it because he's just distraught. He wants help. And they're feeding him the story that we're not doing the investigation, that we're not providing, that we should do it. Okay? So now they're taking all these pictures. They're getting video evidence. And what do you think they're doing with that? So you wonder why city council members from time to time in cities act in a very strange way? They're being extorted. They're being extorted with information and with pictures. And unfortunately, some of my officers were up to that, and we have the physical evidence currently in the hands of the FBI to prove it. So, am I a little hot? I am like completely ticked off because that's the kind of taint that's not going to live with the rest of my officers. My officers are busting their tail in that department, the rest of them, trying to do the right thing, and these few thugs who think they can be criminals wearing a badge are out doing that. So, I guess I got a little heated there. I'm sorry, but you know this is not. I've kind of had it, and so I'm going to shut up now and answer your questions.
So what happened with the investigation? Can you talk a little bit about the kidnapping? Did it really happen? What happened?
You know, first of all, it's an ongoing criminal investigation. It's a very serious one. It's a kidnapping and an assault, and I really don't want to get into the details of it all because really it's still going on. The family's still being threatened. They're scared to death. I have the FBI, I have ATF, I have the Valley Task Force gang unit, I have my officers. I have half the manpower of the Valley working on this investigation, but we still haven't caught a couple of the suspects, so they're scared. And then the criminal justice system, you know how fast they work, how slow can we go? So one of the suspects goes to court, and the judge doesn't think bail's any big deal, so he lets him get out on bail, on a very small bail after it all comes forward. Well, if you read the garbage that the previous investigating unit put together for that case, the judge would do, if I was the judge, I'd do the same thing. So we're literally having to go back now and recreate all the reporting that should have been done several weeks ago when this crime occurred. And now we have city council members that are out working with the POA and with Taveras and some of the other people trying to undermine us on that investigation in the middle of it. They're literally doing that as we speak, trying to get the members of the media and create press conferences with the victim. So again, now they're going to victimize the victim for political gain. So if that isn't corruption, I don't know what is.
And you've assured the parents that you are doing what you can.
Yes, I meet with the parents probably 2-3 times a week. My investigators meet with them every day, the current ones that I have on the case. When I relieved some people from duty, that was my old investigative unit. So that created chaos that we didn't anticipate in the middle of all of this, so we had to bring new people in. But literally, we spent a week trying to find crime reports, trying to find the investigative report. Investigators are required to keep reports on the investigation and follow-up they do. There's nothing. So the first couple of weeks I'm here, we have nothing to go on because nothing was done by the previous investigative unit.
Sir, if you will, I'm from San Diego.
Yes.
So I apologize if my question is ignorant in any way. But
no,
my understanding when we were coming here is that the corruption extends to drug dealing and drug involvement.
No, that's not true.
Not true?
No.
And the FBI raids last couple of weeks ago? What were those about, and what was the evidence?
That's an FBI investigation, and I have to completely defer to them. Any questions you have to them about what they were investigating. I'm just telling you about the things that I now know about as a result of their investigation that I'm actually investigating internally in the department and within the city.
The internal corruption that we're talking about does not have anything to do with drug dealing or affiliations with the drug cartel, anything like that?
I can't comment on that because it's an ongoing FBI criminal investigation.
But there is an ongoing criminal investigation?
Yes, there is. There's several.
with the FBI?
FBI, the DA, the Imperial County Sheriffs, and the Imperial County Drug Task Force. There's several investigations going on.
Of your police department?
Yes.
Your police department and its involvement in potential drug dealing?
Again, I can't comment because it's an ongoing investigation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I wish I could give you more, but
But you could if you wanted to.
Peace.
I just want you to know, I did about 2 hours. I drove 2 hours.
You know, so one of my responsibilities as a chief, and I've been a chief, 25 years of my career at LAPD and now here, and it's always very frustrating because I know the public wants to know. But, police officers have a Bill of Rights just like suspects do. And I have to follow that Bill of Rights because as I go through the process of this investigation, if I don't, and they are doing things that are criminal or wrong, they're going to get away with it because I violated their rights. So again, I'm going to do everything that I can in the light, but I have to protect the rights until we go through the entire process. And I know that's frustrating because our processes are so slow. I have a group of investigators that the city manager allowed me to hire. They've come out. One's a retired sheriff's lieutenant. One's a retired FBI agent. Another is a retired commander from a police department. And the fourth is a retired detective from another department. They all worked internal affairs. And they're all coming in trying to pick up all these investigations that I found put away in drawers, hidden from the public, half finished. And clearly, there's another one, a part of the extortion game that I probably forgot. So how do the crooked cops in an organization get the straight cops to do things that they know they shouldn't? They hold the internal affairs investigations over their head as a threat, as a bully pulpit. They don't investigate them. And if they do really well, and they do the things they want them to do, they make them disappear. That's how an extortion racket works inside a police department. Do I think that's happening in my department? Yes, I do. Hell, it has happened up until now.
And I know you can't comment about the specifics of the FBI investigation.
Right.
But given what you're saying here today, what is your reaction to knowing that the FBI is looking into your police department for alleged drug dealing or drug corruption, whatever it is that they're looking at?
Yeah, so, in my career in the LAPD, I had that happen twice when the FBI came, and those were incredibly sad days. I've been here 2 weeks when the FBI came. I've got to give you just a minute.
Somebody has water or something?
So I've been here 2 weeks as your chief, and there could be nothing more embarrassing than to have your department under that kind of scrutiny. And at the same time, I am so grateful that the FBI is coming, and the reason they're coming is to support me and the really good officers of this department that have been put under this cloud by a few. So it was literally the most disappointing day in all my years of policing because I'm the chief. This is my city, this is my community, these are my officers. So how can you be anything but depressed? And I still am. And at the same time, I'm so grateful that the district attorney's office, the sheriff's department, the FBI, everybody is willing to help me as quickly as possible weed out the people I need to weed out. So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like I'm so grateful, and yet I'm very distraught about the fact that the FBI is here, but I'm very grateful they're here because they have the resources, the capability, they have the federal laws behind them to do a lot of things I can't do. If you can imagine me trying to clean up this police department by myself with the shenanigans being pulled by the politicians in this city and the other things I have to deal with, it wouldn't happen. It's only because I have all these other agencies here backing me and supporting me that I'm even able to get anything done.
And it goes beyond the political shenanigans. It goes to
corruption. I mean, it's just flat out extortion games that are going on both internally with the internal investigations and games played there to trying to corrupt criminal investigations, trying to fire city managers. I don't know what the number is, but I think Mr. Warren is like the 26th city manager in a very few years. Why is that happening? You're smart people. Every time a city manager decides he's not going to go along with the games some councilmen choose to play, they fire him. That's how the game's played. And then after they fire that city manager, they bring somebody in to get rid of whoever's holding them to the hot seat. And believe me, they will. Every day they're going to come to try to get me. I can guarantee it. Right up until the new council is elected and we have a majority of honest council members, they're going to keep trying to fire the city manager and I. No doubt in my mind, it happens every single day. And that's their only agenda. Why are they doing that? Because they know I'm investigating and I'm no longer going to cover it up. That's what they're worried about. That's why they want me out.
Is the city council involved in this alleged drug dealing that's being investigated by the FBI? I mean, how deep does the corruption go?
Again, I can't comment on what the FBI is investigating, and I never said that they're investigating drug dealing. I've never said that. I don't know who put that out to you, but that's never what this event has been about. What this has been about is people interfering with a serious criminal investigation, trying to get to Richard Warren and myself and undermining that investigation to do it. That's what I'm upset about. There's a true victim out there and a family being extorted by a bunch of gang members, and these people are trying to interfere with the investigation to get me fired. And that's their only motive, and to get the city manager fired.
So alleged corruption at the drug level is not in question?
No, that's not correct. Yeah.
Have you been in touch with the president of the police association or anyone in the police association?
You know, my only interactions with the POA was in the first few weeks I was here, but in the last 2 weeks, no, I haven't had any meetings with them. But, you know, for the most part, you know, you heard them. They came to the city council and they're willing to support me. They said that. I understand there's been a change of leadership in the POA, but nobody's formally told me that because I haven't had any meetings with the current new POA leadership team, so I don't know much about that. But I do know of the people who have been involved with the city council members and the former chief trying to stir all this controversy and help the city council get us fired. And so, you know, I know that part of it, but no, I have not had any meetings at all with them for about probably 2 weeks.
Have you, since this has come about, have you tried to reach out again to those 3 council members to talk to them about not interfering with the investigation?
I have 2 city council members, and I'll name them by name, Castro and Kim, who have refused to meet with me since the moment I came here. They refused to meet with me. One city council member said I think it was the last city council meeting, that he was willing to meet with me, but he has chosen not to. So I've had no communication, any way, shape, or form from any, other than you're not my chief and I'm not talking to you. That's the only conversation I've had with him.
And Bill Hodge?
No conversation with him at all. Yes?
When you said Board of Supervisors is trying to intervene with this investigation, are you saying John Renison is one of those?
I'm not naming any names at all about who's interfering with this whole investigation. I'm just saying that there are people doing it, and I'm putting it on notice that I'm investigating it as a crime because they're interfering with a very serious criminal investigation, and I won't have it because there's true victims here. Victims should not be played with, toyed with for political agendas or personal gain. That's what I'm upset about.
Policies for either supervisor or supervisors interfering with this investigation?
I'm not going to talk about that because it's an ongoing investigation with the FBI.
With the FBI?
Yes.
So this is what the FBI is investigating then?
You are really good. I got to give you credit. You are relentless. I don't blame you. Again, I'm not going to talk about what the FBI is investigating. It's their case. You need to talk to them. I'm not going to get into that because then I'm undermining them. Then I'm doing what these people are trying to do to me, and I'm not going to undermine their investigation. Not going to do it.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible for the city to remove those signs that the POA put in the political arena? Remove those? Maybe they don't want to remove it because they don't want to be identified with those signs again.
So what signs are you talking about? I'm not sure. In the community?
The POA put on in the city. Again,
Don't we have a city ordinance against after an election those signs should come down? All right, I'll talk to Public Works. I think Mr. Savine's actually here, and we're going to get on that. They should have been down a long time ago. Yeah, and I think it's probably just a staffing issue. But all those political signs should have come down a week after the election. So I noticed them the other day myself, but thank you for bringing that up. We'll take care of it.
How are you assuring the parents to not listen to those city council members, or how are you assuring them of how you're conducting this investigation and that it should mainly be focused on what you and your police officers are doing and not anyone else?
See, this is a very touchy subject, so I'm going to try to be really careful because I really respect this family and they're going through more than you can possibly imagine. Let me just tell you that. This family is going through a lot. And so we're trying to meet with them as much as we can. And of course, I can't meet with them all day, every day. I have to actually run a police department in between all the political scams. And so we're meeting with them at least every day. Some member of my staff is meeting with them. I know the district attorney's office is also meeting with them all the time. And they're frustrated that we haven't caught all the suspects yet. Well, I'm as frustrated as they are. That's why I'm calling all these resources in to do it. Now, they want to know exactly what I'm doing. No one will never know exactly what I'm doing because that's not the nature of police work. Everything we do is quiet until we catch the suspect and then we reveal it all. But right now they're frustrated that I won't tell them exactly what I'm doing. And so this group that's running around trying to undermine the investigation are using that against us, saying they aren't doing anything because I can't tell them what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of those, and they know the con game they're pulling. They're not stupid, the people that are trying to undermine the investigation. And again, I feel bad for this family. They're going through a lot. And this is what the political leadership of the city does? They should be ashamed of themselves. That might be my wife. Let me turn that off.
Well, you should answer it. If it's your wife, you should say hello. How many people, I understand this is one family.
By golly, I'm like clairvoyant. It is her. Okay. She's checking on me. How'd the press conference go?
I understand this is one family.
Yeah.
How does this alleged political corruption affect Calexico as a whole? Are the citizens in danger beyond this one family? Or are we just talking about this one family? That's my first question. And my second question is, when you talk about this group, how many people are in this group?
Okay, I won't tell you how many are in the group. Well, you are really good. I got to give you credit. She's going to keep asking this question until I stop, I can tell. You know, the citizens of the city are no longer in danger because you have a police department and police chief that are going to put them first from here on out. So they're not in danger, and we're working real hard to do that. So how do I know that? So I've been walking foot beats up and down the boulevard this morning with my 2 lieutenants. Everywhere I go in the city, anywhere I go in the Imperial Valley, everybody knows who I am, even though I got a hat on and I'm trying to be incommunicado and just go shopping or go to the store and have dinner. So no matter where I go, I have half a dozen people who come and talk to me. And they say it over and over again. We're so grateful that somebody's actually policing the city and protecting us because we feared our police department. That's everyone's reaction. That is twisted and disgusting that that's the way they felt about their department. But now they feel like we're on their side, and we are. I'm telling you, I have some great police officers. I have some great people, and they've taken a beating by me constantly talking about all these corruption issues that I'm finding because it spills over on them, and then you start thinking they're all bad. They're not. They're really good people. Those are the ones I'm here fighting for today. I got some people busting their tail throughout this entire county to conduct a criminal investigation, and these guys are pulling this shenanigans for political gain, trying to bring back the former chief. That is about as disgusting as it gets to me. And that's what I'm really here, and that's what I'm upset about. And who does that affect? It affects you in the community because I have to spend so much time doing this, putting out political brush fires. So I think you need to start talking to some of them about why are they doing this? You know, what's their involvement? And start putting on notice. Come on, you're smarter than that. You already know who they are. You know what I'm talking about. I know you guys. You know, I'm not going to play the name game. I'm just going to let you figure it out.
Chief, there have been too much talking from your side. Press conferences, interviews with reporters.
Too much talking?
But we haven't seen any arrests yet. When are we going to see
So,
the first arrests?
can I ask your name, sir?
All these investigations.
Can I ask your name, sir? What is your name?
Arturo Bojorquez, with Adelante Valle newspaper.
Okay, so So your question is, why so many press conferences and why so much information about what's happening in the police department?
So far,
And what?
and no arrests so far.
Okay, so again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigations, which I've said several times, and that's up to them when they choose to make arrests, and the U.S. Attorney, not me. Now, if the U.S. Attorney and the feds choose not to make arrests, then it'll be up to the district attorney and I to decide what we're going to do. But they have first crack at it. And that's for very obvious reasons. I think you know why. So why hasn't it happened? Evidence is still being gathered. It doesn't do any good to run out and arrest people if you don't have your case done. That just creates more damage than it does anything. And I don't care if they take 6 months as long as they do the right thing. I don't care how long it takes.
Is it the time it's going to take?
I don't know. Again, I don't know. It's up to the FBI. I'm just saying I don't care how long it takes, as long as we weed out those people who are involved in criminal misconduct in this department. I don't care how long it takes.
Okay.
And I have resolve. And you ask a question like, why would I be having so many press conferences? Really? Have you been to them? Have you heard what I'm talking about?
Yes,
and you
sir.
want to know why that I'm bringing it to the light? Really? That's your question?
No.
Okay. Really, I'm trying to get your question. You're asking me why I'm having so many press conferences and talking about the corruption in the department.
There has been too much talking and no arrests so far.
Okay.
That's my question.
That's not a question, that's a statement. Do you have a question that goes with it? What's the question?
But it's a valid
No more
question.
questions. No more questions.
It's a valid question.
What's the question?
Well, what he's asking you. And
He's not asking me
I
a-
support you, I support you.
Yeah, he's not asking a question.
It's a valid question, no grandstanding. Let's say there's something, let's get him in.
I think I've been talking for nearly 40 minutes about the number of investigations that are going on, and I will not circumvent the law so that people will be placated that there's finally arrests. I will not circumvent the law to do that. So let's just make that clear. There's laws in this country, and there's rules about how we do it. And the one thing I'm always going to do is live in the light myself, and I am not going to go and create little games where people are arrested to make myself look good. We're going to do the right thing for the right reasons. That's why the delays. We're going to wait until it's done properly. And it's not a delay, it's the proper, legal, ethical, principled, investigative process. Something that hasn't existed here for a very long time. That's why it takes time. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, Chief. It's my understanding that other officers unrelated to this political issue are being looked at or have cases going before the district attorney, such as domestic violence or criminal crime. Are they on the line or off the line pending their investigation with the district attorney for drug driving?
Yeah. Again, I can't talk about internal investigations because it's illegal in the state of California for me to do that.
These people, is it your policy to allow them to still be on the line, or
Yeah.
they pull up the line pending this?
All I can tell you is that in general, when I make a determination that misconduct is serious enough to relieve people, I will, but I will not willy-nilly relieve people until I have enough evidence to believe that the case we have against them is legitimate. And I don't have enough evidence because, as I told you, all the investigations have been hiding in drawers, have not been completed. We have some that are almost a year old that have never been investigated. I have crimes that have been alleged that have not been investigated. And it's going to take me several months to clean up that mess. So I really don't know on a lot of them how serious it is and whether or not it's for real. So again, I have to be fair to my police officers. I can't punish them because the former management chose not to do their job. That's not fair to them.
But if the district attorney, with the highway patrol picked up one of your officers from driving, are they still allowed to be on the street, or are they pulled off the street and assigned to office duty until
Yeah.
the...
Again, it depends upon the circumstances. And again, I can't talk about what's happening internally with the internal investigation, so I can't answer your question. It's just one of those things I legally cannot talk about. I'd like to, but I can't.
But police department policy, does it ask that...
Police department policy gives me the right to relieve someone from duty when I believe it's in the best interest of the police department and the citizens of the city. And I have exercised that. That's the best I can tell you. Yeah.
Chief,
Yes.
How much was spent on the high-tech surveillance equipment after your hiring?
You know, we're still looking into that. A ballpark figure is probably 100,000 or more.
And over what time is it believed the officers were using that equipment to then essentially spy on city council members?
You know, I can't respond to that yet, again, because that's a key part of the investigation for the FBI.
But the footage that was found when the FBI came?
Yes. And it's also, we're finding stuff as we go. For instance, today, my investigative unit was trying to get their handle on all the equipment and stuff was in there. And we found professional tools used to break into cars that no police officer should be carrying with them. We also found many Slim Jims that are used to unlock cars, to get into cars. There's a thing called search warrants in the state of California, and that's how you do police work. You don't do it like the spies on TV and just violate everybody's rights. And these were clearly tools for violating people's rights, so we're trying to get to the bottom of that. It's like every day, the gentleman asked me over here, why isn't something happening faster? Because every day I uncover more. Why am I having press conferences? Because every day I uncover more. And you need to know. I believe the citizens of the city have a right to know why I'm doing what I'm doing and why there's so much controversy in this city. I'm not grandstanding. I don't need this job. I have a retirement. I have a comfortable family. My family misses me desperately while I'm down here all week long. But I'm here because someone called and I have the skills to make it happen. So I could care less whether I have this job 6 months from now or a year from now. I'm here to do everything I can to get this city as clean up as fast as I can and return the police department back to a professional police department that cares about this city. So all this baloney about grandstanding and game playing, this is not a frickin' game. These are people's lives. This is the community's protection. And my police officers have lives and rights too. And I will not hurry up anything to make people think that, quote unquote, I'm not grandstanding. That's not why I'm having these conversations.
Those tools that were found, were they found in police cars or desks?
They were found inside the investigative office of the Calexico Police Department.
And those people are the ones that are on paid leave right now?
I can't answer that question.
And interfering with a criminal investigation is a federal crime, so potential charges will be handled by the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Yes.
And what about allegations that they were using the equipment to spy on council members?
You know, I just have to, yeah, the FBI handles all of that, and that's all part of their investigation.
And aside from the allegations of those two types of behavior, any other behavior that's causing concern of crime?
No, like I said, I've pretty much talked about the rest of them, and I'm going to continue to have these press conferences as I uncover things because I think you have the right to know. And I will never have a press conference to tell you my officers are being prosecuted. That would be grandstanding. Grandstanding would be standing up here taking credit for crooked cops. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to police this city in a very positive way, and I will have these press conferences anytime I feel like it to get the truth out to the community because they need to know. You need to know what's happening in your city, and your council members need to know because in the council process there's lots of things I can't talk to them about, you know, because there's a separation between the executive branch and the governing branch, and that's by law. But there are some things that I can tell all the public generally, and I will continue to do that. And if those who choose to call that grandstanding, oh, well, that's your problem. I'm just here to shed light on the truth of what's happening in this city. And obviously you paid me a lot of money, another nice piece of controversy that I knew would come almost to the minute, you know. And I'm going to earn every dime of that. And when I leave this police department, I hope to leave a very professional police department, and I will. I hope to leave a city that feels like they can trust their police department again, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
One of the officers that's on paid leave says that he doesn't know why he's being investigated, so maybe you can clear that up. And he doesn't know why he had to sign a piece of paper that said you can't speak about the matter, and he claims he doesn't know what the matter is.
I think that's fantastic. That's the way it should be. So if I'm conducting a murder investigation, should the suspect know what I'm going to do, why I'm doing it, why I'm investigating them? No. Should a police officer that we're investigating be told all of that? No. So I think that's absolutely fantastic that maybe one thing in this city is a secret. If it is, if that truly is a secret to that person, he's either lying to you or very naive, because there's nothing that I do on any given day 24/7 that everybody in this city doesn't know about. So I'm not buying 1 minute of that he doesn't know. Or she, it could be a she. No, there's only he's relieved, so you're right. It's only a he. So I want to talk about another positive note, okay? Not grandstanding, but actually caring about the future of this department. We're going to post hiring for sergeant's jobs and for police officers' jobs coming in January. So I'm asking all of you in the media to help me. I want to start advertising so we can bring in some people from even outside of Calexico to bring some new blood in the department, some new ideas and some new people. And my number one priority, hopefully, is to find some very qualified females. We have 2 female police officers in the entire staff of the Calexico Police Department in 2014. 2, okay? And here's what I know, because my wife's one of the first police officers on the LAPD, so I know what women go through in a male-dominated organization who think they're better than everybody in the world. It's not good. And the fewer of them there are, the more torture they take. Now, the 2 that I have are fantastic. They're hardworking, and I want more. And why do I want more? When I left the LAPD, we had 28% female officers in the LAPD. They were by far the best cops in the LAPD, and I said that over and over again, and it certainly made the male officers upset. But the reality is, women treat people with decency, and they don't have an ego to get in the way. It's awesome to watch the way that women work in policing and in firefighting and all parts of public service. And so I'm asking you, if you have daughters and cousins and nieces or whoever they are, please apply, because I'm looking for a different type of person to come and serve this department. I'm also looking into a service survey program where we're going to actually start requiring our officers to pass out postcards, self-addressed staff envelopes to everybody they contact, and for you to send those back to me and tell me how our people are doing. We're going to implement body cameras as soon as possible on our officers. Our officers actually asked for that. So your officers have actually asked for the body cams, and so I'm granting their wish. We're going to get new cameras for the cars. We're going to get a camera system for all around the city, for all city facilities. And we're going to start using the narcotics asset forfeiture money for what it's for. It's for protecting the citizens of Calexico. It's not a slush fund for the department to go buy the toys that they want to buy. So I'm shifting the whole focus of that. So again, for those who think that I'm here grandstanding, I'm also managing the police department and moving forward in more important things than the few internal investigations that I have. Those will take their course. People will be disciplined. There's no doubt in my mind based upon the cases that we have. I think some people will be arrested, but that remains to be seen. That's kind of up to the FBI and people beyond me that are going to make that decision. I'll be part of that. But more importantly, I'm back to the business of running a police department. For the first 30 days, I've had to play politics every single day. And you know why. Now I'm actually running the police department. And we're getting management systems set up. We're getting the internal investigations started that have been sitting in drawers and boxes. We're putting the investigative unit back together, and they're now actually investigating crimes again. There's a novel idea. You hire people full-time to be criminal investigators, and now they're doing that. So there's a lot of really positive things going on in the department. I got a lot of support from some council members and from the city manager to make all that happen, and John Quinn, the finance director. And we're working our tail off to get back into why I'm here. I'm not here to put people in jail. I'm not here to discipline police officers. That's just part of my job. My job is running a professional police department that protects this city. And some of you have already told me you already see the difference, and I'm glad to hear that. With officers in this field, you see them everywhere. They're actually stopping people. They're actually treating you like human beings and not, harassing you like they used to. And so that's going to continue, and we're going to put together programs to make sure that does. And again, please, you have some really good police officers. Start acknowledging them for that and for their willingness to go through this pretty rough time for them as well. Okay, I'm done for now, and I appreciate your time, and thanks for coming.